Hello everyone and welcome to Lexicon's Reviews. I'm Lexicon and I'm going to be reviewing every single wrestling game possible to assure that you guys pick the best ones out there. And today we're going to be looking at WrestleMania X8 for the GameCube, released June 11th, 2002.
WrestleMania X8 has 3 game modes to choose from: Exhibition, Path of a Champion, and Battle for the Belts. In Exhibition, there are 7 match types to choose from: Single, Tag, Handicap, Triple Threat, Fatal 4-Way, Battle Royal, and the Royal Rumble. With THQ's first attempt on the Cube, they tried to capitalize on the success of the AKI's No Mercy game, which is still revered as one of the best wrestling games ever made. WrestleMania X8 plays a lot like those AKI wrestling games, and in a way feels like the wrestling games of old. But there's something wrong about this feeling. It feels slow and unresponsive for something that's running on a machine with the capabilities of the GameCube. The grapple system is simple. Press any direction in the A button and you've got yourself a grapple. Wrestlers have different grapples for every direction on the joystick. To perform a special, you hold down A and B at the same time. But you have to know your wrestlers, because it will only work if your wrestler is in the correct position for the move to be performed. Some wrestlers' finishers are the same as their real-life counterparts. For example, I was playing as Rob Van Dam, and instead of doing the 5-star frog splash, Van Dam performed a spinning drop kick as his finisher, and I was confused. Another thing about finishing moves is that you can perform your finishing move on your opponent about 10 times and you still will not beat them. One thing that's good about WrestleMania X8 is that it does run well with multiple wrestlers in the ring at once. The graphics aren't the best we've ever seen on the GameCube, but it's forgivable, considering the other wrestling games that were out at this time. You can pull out multiple weapons underneath the ring, such as garbage cans, sledgehammers, chairs, all the essentials needed for a hardcore bout. The real appeal of this game is simplicity. No button combinations besides the finishers, and it can make a novice look like he's been playing the game for 3 weeks. Unfortunately, this simplicity doesn't keep me interested for too long, and after about 15 minutes with Molly Holly in the ring, I was ready to shut off the cube. Now, let's stop right there. If I'm Lance Storm, and I'm facing Molly Holly, why should it take me 15 minutes to beat her? Well, I guess she was the hardcore champion at the time, and she did win it at WrestleMania 18, so I guess they thought she should be an unstoppable force. Anyways, back to the game. There are just over 40 wrestlers to choose from, and each one has their advantages and disadvantages. You can also choose between 2 costumes, but they don't show you the costumes before the match, so you're kind of selecting in the dark. You can also select your arena and set up the rules just before entering the match. There are only about 7 arenas, if that, to choose from though. The Path of a Champion mode allows you to select a WWF title and work your way through the rankings, all the way to the top. Now this is not revolutionary in any sense of the word. We've seen this over and over again prior to this, just in about every single wrestling game ever made. Battle for the Belts is a little more unique and interesting to play. Basically, Ukes has created about 50 titles, many of those actually looking like former or current real-life championships, and then you go through and you try to collect all these belts by overcoming all the obstacles that the game throws at you. After you've won a title, you can face another opponent who has the same title in a unification match. Bottom line, winner takes all. But again, this just isn't enough to keep me playing. The Create a Player mode is pretty simple, and has a lot of stuff to choose from. In fact, don't these faces look familiar? After looking at all these, I decided to make Jim the Anvil Neidhart. It took me about 5 minutes to create him, and he turned out pretty well. So the creative mode is pretty easy to use, and anyone can make pretty much anyone in the history of wrestling. So all in all, if you haven't played this game, and you like the No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, or WCW vs. NWO Revenge, then it's worth a rental. This game runs about $9.99 used at your local GameStop, EB Games, or software, etc. I enjoyed WrestleMania X8 for about 30 minutes, but there are certainly better wrestling games out there for the Cube. There's not much of a nostalgic factor in this game, but you'll have fun kicking some ass with Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, and the NWO. Which is another bad thing about this game. No official NWO music, and it kind of takes you out of the game. Now, on to the rating. The rating system works like this. Go elsewhere means to avoid this title at all costs. Nothing can save this piece of garbage. Borrow it means find a friend who has the game, borrow it for a couple days. It's not worth your hard-earned money in any sense of the word. Rent means that it's worth a shot, has some value. Go out there, spend $5, $3 to rent it, whatever. But it's not worth paying full price for. Buy it means that you should have this game in your library to pull out whenever you want, and that this is a true gem and well worth your hard-earned money. Now for WrestleMania X8, I say borrow it. It's flawed, but no game is perfect. After about a day tops, you'll find yourself going elsewhere. It was a good idea by Ukes to go after the AKI wrestling games, but what killed it was that Ukes tried to copy something that was too good. Kind of like a subpar sequel. Well, I hope you guys are now educated on WrestleMania X8. And if there are any suggestions, questions, or comments, just please leave a comment here, message me here, or at DonnieD777@gmail.com, which I'll put in the little description box. So, there's WrestleMania X8. Borrow it from a friend, but do not buy it. Ghost.